Good afternoon, Facebook friends. Welcome to, I think, our first Facebook Live. We're going to recount the 40th anniversary stories for Wings. For those of you who are new and don't know me or you don't know Wings, I am Rebecca Dart, and I have the honor of serving as this president and CEO of Wings. We are the largest domestic violence housing and service provider in the state of Illinois with plans to go national. So how did it all get started? It got started back in 1985. And before I get any further, I have to say, because my marketing team, Sarah and Nancy, are here with me, helping me pull this off today, and want to make sure as we tell stories, as I tell stories, if you were a part of that memory of Wings over this past 40 years, drop in the chat what you think about that memory. And if you have any other thoughts about our resale stores or anything else, we want to hear from you, so please do that. So back in 1985, there were church members in a Catholic church in Schaumburg, Illinois called St. Marceline. And one of those church members was driving through the Forest Preserve in the northwest suburbs of Chicago and noticed homeless people sleeping in the Forest Preserve. This was Father Louis Tusto, who wasn't a father at the time. He became a priest after this. But he picked someone up and he took him to lunch and asked him his story about how he became homeless. And that became the beginning of Wings. He went back to St. Marceline and met with Ed Boggio and Edith Hovius, who are our founders. And they were running the St. Vincent de Paul ministry at St. Marceline Church. And their research showed them that the fastest growing homeless population in this region was women and children. So they started the Housing and Shelter Program, which was eventually changed to Wings in 1991. So this was the beginning, and they did not have a home until 1991, 92, and I'm going to come in closer. The home in the middle was their Greenwood house, called that because it was on Greenwood Avenue in Niles, Illinois. And they got this small home, and a few years later, Ed and Jean McCabe donated the home on the top. And this home we still have today. The Niles home we sold many years ago for a pretty penny, which was nice because we used it to build our safe house, which I will talk about in a minute. But Jean and Ed McCabe were wonderful people in the community, and they gave us this home that has housed people every year since then. Hundreds of families have called this place their home, and we were pleased that we could have it. And then in 1999, which was the year of this annual report, was the year I started at Wings. I had the good fortune of meeting a woman named Rita Canning, who you will hear about more throughout the day. Sorry, I won't be here for the whole day. And she introduced me to Rita, to Susie Bryant, and the board hired me to be their executive director in 1999. And from there, we set about doing other things. We got our first home donated after the McCabes in 1999. There was an issue with the Columbine shooting that we all remember from 1999. A house in Barrington that became controversial because the parents of the two doctors who owned it had bought it for their son to have a place to park next to the high school. And it became quite controversial. We asked for the house to have our women and children to live in, and they gave it to us. Again, we still have that home today, and we celebrated the 25th anniversary of that home last year, and Dr. Yeshwant came out from the city to celebrate with us. So you can see Wings does a lot of things, and we care about people deeply. So we didn't stop there. In 1999, we started construction on our home in Schaumburg. You can see the groundbreaking here. And we had support from the village of Schaumburg, support from the community, corporations. This was one of our first brand new transitional homes that we owned, and we opened that in 2000. At the same time, we opened our first resale store. So in 2 years, we did quite a bit, as you can see. Now, during that time, well, one thing you should know, when I met Rita Canning, one of the first questions she asked me was, what do you know about building domestic violence shelters? To which I proudly proclaimed, absolutely nothing. Because I have a degree in psychology, not a degree in construction. But what I told her is, we will find a company to do this for us. Now, in the area that we're in Northwest Cook County, there was no domestic violence emergency shelter. In an area of about 1 million to 1.5 million people, which meant that if someone was trying to flee an abuser, an abusive situation, they had nowhere to go. So we were getting a lot of calls from churches and other people desperate for emergency shelter, and it didn't exist. So we did what we said we did. We found somebody who would build it for us. We approached Kimball Hill Homes, David Hill and Diane Hill, who owned the company at the time. David's father was a big construction builder and had built a lot of homes in Rolling Meadows, Illinois. And so we went to David and asked if he would build it, and he said, absolutely, I'll build it if you can get the zoning. We didn't know it was going to be that hard to get the zoning, but a year and a half later, and I had another baby in between all that. I had twins when we were building the Schaumburg house and opening our Palatine store, and then I had Sam in the middle of all the zoning hearings that we had to get the safe house zoned for us to be able to do it. Now, while we were working on the zoning, we did find property, a little house on a big lot that we were able to buy, and we were joined by Senator Wendell Jones, who's in this picture, who allocated $400,000 for us for the safe house. Rita Canning is in the picture as well as David Hill. And David Hill, unfortunately, is no longer with us. He did a great job building the home. He was shocked that we got the zoning for the property. And so he called me when we did, and he said, Kimball Hill Homes will build this for you. So they donated all the general contracting for the building. You can see behind me, I still have my hard hat. We're very proud of it, and very grateful for Kimball Hill Homes for building it. We finally were able to cut the ribbon in October of 2004. So we started working on this in 2001, and finally in 2004 we were able to cut the ribbon. And we had dignitaries, former Congressman Jack Kemp, who's also no longer with us, our other congressmen, judges, and most importantly, our aldermen and women in Rolling Meadows. So Alderman Tom Rooney, who went on to become mayor of Rolling Meadows and then state senator, was key in helping us to get the zoning, to understand what was happening behind the scenes. So he's still a supporter today, still serves on our leadership council, but we had a beautiful day. What we did was we had one roll of purple ribbon, and it went through the entire crowd, through the parking lot, and everybody had their own little pair of scissors, and we all cut the ribbon at the same time. And with that, Rita's dream came true. When she walked in, the plaque was there honoring her for this idea to bring the first domestic violence shelter to the northwest suburbs of Chicago. So that is that story. We're going to move on to some more stories. So just stay with us. We're going to walk down the hallway here. We are currently in our administrative offices in the northwest suburbs. We have been in this building for 13 years. We recently, and you'll see the new beautiful space in just a minute, purchased the adjacent space to this one, and we are going to see, this is where all of our admin staff live and our development team, all of our fundraisers, to work hard to make the money so that Wings has the stuff that we need to sustain and to move on. Some people think that we're wholly government funded, but we are not. We rely heavily on the community, on individuals, on foundations, on corporations. We do a lot of really great events, so follow us on Facebook and on our website to see those events. But what I'm standing next to, and Nancy can see it, is our Good News Bell. So whenever something good happens, whether it's a big check comes that we weren't expecting or a big check comes that we were expecting, the bell is rung. And it's also rung if we have a staff member who finds out that they're going to be having a baby, or a staff member who finds out they're going to be a grandma. So we use it for all good things, and it's a lot of fun. So it's a nice addition. One thing that we have always been notorious for at Wings is doing multiple things at one time and not taking the time to stop and really celebrate our accomplishments. The Good News Bell helps us do that. So we're excited about that. We're also excited about some national awards that we have been receiving for the work that our magnificent teams do here at Wings. Our program is very large. We have comprehensive services for adults and children, and we do serve men, women, and children. We do not discriminate against anyone. To utilize our shelters, we do now have the one in the suburbs, and since then, in 2016, with the help of former Mayor Rahm Emanuel, we were able to open the first new domestic violence shelter in the city of Chicago. So we've continued to expand. You'll hear more about our hospital program and how that's expanding in just a minute. But we applied for some awards 2 years ago. There's a national organization called DomesticShelters.org, and we nominated Rita Canning for a Lifetime Achievement Award, and as you can see, she won. We were very excited. Rita has been supporting WINGS and the cause of domestic violence for over 30 years. She continues as our board chair emeritus to support us, and just a wonderful person to be able to get her and her friends behind the work that we do. And she and our board leadership, Elaine Sambo-Rather, and our board of directors and our leadership councils have really made it possible for us to grow from that small organization in 1999, where we had assets of about 600,000, to an organization today with assets of 25 million. And so we're truly appreciative to Rita for that. We also won for our unique annual report. Our creative director does a fantastic annual report, more importantly, an impressive digital annual report, which will be coming out soon. So check our website regularly. We will be posting on Facebook when that goes live so that you can see all of our accomplishments from this last year. We also won that same year not only the award, but a $5,000 grant for our innovative Survivor Lifeline mentoring program. So for 20-something years, we have had a mentoring program. It was created by actually our clients who were living in our two homes at the time, the Greenwood house I showed you and the McCabe house. We got some seed funding from the Lutheran Church of America, and they asked us what we could use. So I asked the families, the women who were living in the program at the time, there was about 8 of them, what they needed. And one of them said, I need a lifeline. When I leave here at WINGS and I'm a single parent with these 4 children, I need to have somebody to call when I'm at my wit's end and I don't know what to do. So Project Lifeline was born. Now over the years, as we had graduates come through our Safe House and through our transitional housing program, which is a 2-year program that they can go to after the emergency shelter to really get their feet underneath them and get their confidence back and their financial footing, it morphed into survivors coming back. So a lot of our survivors who had gone through our Safe House in the suburbs were coming back and automatically just mentoring the people who were in the shelter. And the power of a survivor saying to someone who just came into the Safe House, I was there and now I'm here and you will be here too, is amazing. And so we changed the program to Survivor Lifeline Mentoring. We secured funding from BMO for the initial launch of the Survivor Lifeline and from the Cindy Bischoff Memorial Fund. And this last year, BMO gave us another 3-year grant to expand the program from the suburbs into the city of Chicago. And so we are currently doing that, and we are also planning to and have already started the fundraising in Miami to take this program to Miami and to other cities across the country. So we're super excited. Everything we do depends on funding, and we do get some government funding, but we don't rely on that solely, because if it goes away, then we have to make sure that we can keep everything operating the way it is. So we're truly appreciative to the community, to everyone who supports the work that we do. Now, the other way that we have raised money, and it was not an easy lift, was resale stores. So back in 2000, when I was pregnant with my twins, we bought a building in Palatine, Illinois to operate a resale store. And we opened it in 2000, and it was amazing. The community came and they supported us to such an extent that we got funding from David and Diane Hill and from Representative Fred Crespo to purchase a building in Schaumburg to open our second store. That was our third store. We opened a store in Niles first and then in Schaumburg after that. So we have 3 very successful resale stores. In 2010, tragedy struck, and our Palatine store that I just mentioned that we opened in 2000, a storm came through the area and brought power lines down onto the building. It caught fire and it was a complete loss. So a few months later, when I was driving by, of course this was very tragic, that was about $500,000 in revenue that just went up in flames in that one day. And so we knew we had to quickly mobilize, and we did. And the community got behind us in amazing ways, and good donation drives for us. We had donations pouring into a fire relief fund, and we got tons and tons and tons of publicity. For years later, when I would say I was with Wings, people would say, oh, you were the ones who had that horrible fire. And we were. But what was interesting, and maybe a miracle, and if you've seen It's a Wonderful Life, this will have some meaning to you. As I was driving past the site one day, the bulldozers were there knocking down the last few walls and cleaning up the debris. And so I pulled in just to watch, and the driver of the bulldozer jumps out, and he says, are you the owner? And I said, kinda. I said who I was. And he said, well, I have something for you. So he gives me this money box. And he says, everything was gone. Everything was reduced to rubble or melted, except for this little money box. And the coins in it were mostly melted together. And there were 2 $1 bills that did not burn, which he was astonished at. I was astonished at. But we've held on to these 2 little dollars as they've continued to multiply and help us bring in more resources and more funding to be able to expand our services. So I'm going to take you into our next little area. So we have lots of conference rooms, and we have our Learning Institute is in this area too. So we do 3 times a year a 40-hour domestic violence training. This training is required by the state for individuals who want to volunteer inside of our safe houses or in our homes. And so we provide that, and we provide it for all of our staff as well. So we're very pleased. We bring in interns from all of the major universities in the Chicago area to help us with the work that we do. We give them state-of-the-art training and supervision, and so they participate in the Learning Institute in many of the trainings. So we do a lot of different things, and as I remember them all, I'll keep telling you more stories. But I'm going to say hi to Laura right here at the front desk. Laura is our amazing receptionist and development assistant, and she is the face that everyone sees when they first come into the office, and she welcomes in staff, clients, vendors, everyone, and she answers the phone, and she enters data into the database, so she is amazing. Thank you for being here, Laura.
Thank you.
So the mailroom's a little boring, but I want to show you some of our brand new counseling centers. We were fortunate to get the support of the Foglia Family Foundation to purchase this space back in 2020. And we rented the dental company that was in here prior to this, rented back from us until 2024. We were very fortunate and grateful to Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy, who secured a $250,000 congressional grant for us to do the build out of the space, and truly grateful to the state of Illinois, our wonderful Senator Castro, Senator Murphy, Representative Crespo, everyone who was critical in helping us get an increase in the state line item. We were able to get all the funding that we needed to build out this space with state-of-the-art furniture. So one of the things that we have been doing in the community for 20 years is counseling. So all of our families who come to our safe houses and move into our homes and apartments, of which we now have, I think, 150, 170 scattered apartments all over the Chicagoland region. They all have access to counseling. They have a family advocate if they're an adult who helps them kind of figure out their finances, job, what they're going to do after they're graduated from Wings. And then we have a very robust, comprehensive, amazing children's program. So each child is assigned their own children's advocate who helps them navigate while they're with us to really heal from the trauma that they've been through. On any given year in our safe houses and our housing program, we're serving more children than adults because our adults are coming in with 2 to 3 children. Prior to having this space, we were not able to provide counseling and outreach to children in the community because we did not have the space. So we did have counseling offices in different spaces, and we'll be talking about our hospital in just a minute with Daniel. Is we have places where we could see adults in counseling, places where our mentors could meet with their mentees, but we did not have a space built out for the children. With this space, again, generously paid for by the Foglia Family Foundation, with support from the Congressman and the state of Illinois, we were able to do that. With a nice Cook County grant, we were able to hire the counseling staff and the children's counseling staff. And I just want to show you some of the spaces because it shows you how we do things at Wings is always top notch. So we don't call our shelter because they don't feel like a shelter. They feel like a home. They feel like a safe, beautiful space to be. And we give them everything that they need to get back on their feet. So when they come to us, they're paying for nothing. They don't pay for any of the services. They don't pay for their food, diapers. We get that all for them. We utilize a lot of volunteer support from the community. Thank you to all of our volunteers who are watching. We accept a lot of donations, both for our resale store, but for our families as well, in the form of laundry detergent, food, diapers, formula, all that stuff. But I just really am pleased with how the counseling space turned out. This is one of our adult counseling rooms. You can just see how beautiful the space is and how calming it is. And I think all of us who are not in the counseling space like to come over here and relax because it's just such a peaceful, peaceful place. So we're going to take a look at one of my favorite rooms. I called this the room for the littles. I was told that was not the true name of it, but it's for the little ones, the 3-year-olds, the 4-year-olds, to come in and do play therapy with their counselor, with their children's advocate. A lot of children express their fear, their anger, all of their emotions through play and through art. And so we have licensed staff, master's level staff who work with the children. They utilize this space. We have small groups and we have individual. And again, just a wonderful, comforting space. And we could do more. If we had more funding, we could hire more children's counselors and we could see more children. And we're getting a lot of referrals. And so we are happy with the space and know we need to do more. So we'll keep moving along. We have our meditation room, and then we have our teen group room. So this room, we have a lot of teenagers that are being referred to us by the various school districts around us. We have staff who are going out and speaking to teachers and to school social workers to let them know that we have resources and can do groups with teens, again, to help them process what they have witnessed. Many people don't even think about the fact that children are present when this is happening, and typically what happens is the children think that it's their fault, and they also think that there's something that they could do to stop it. There was a tragic event that happened last spring in Chicago when a perpetrator of violence went to the apartment after being released from the Department of Corrections in Illinois to kill his victim, his survivor, and the 11-year-old got in between to save her, and he ended up killed. So, we're working with the children who've been through some really horrific situations and what they have experienced, what they have observed, and the whole idea is that we work with them with the number one goal of helping them heal from their trauma, and we break that cycle of intergenerational violence. So every age group is so important, and so we have the littles, we have the teens, and now I'm going to show you a beautiful area that's for all those kids and ages in between. It's a little bit of a walk, so stay with me. So in this room, they do a lot of groups, and you can see the dollhouse. I mentioned earlier that children will work out their feelings through play. So having the dollhouse and working through that with play therapy, again with licensed staff who are experts in play therapy and art therapy. So this room gets used a lot. It has exercise space for kids to get out their energy. And lots of books that are designed specifically for helping them understand their feelings of what they experienced, what they've gone through, again with the end goal of helping them to heal from the trauma. So you can see just the warm colors and what a great job they did to make this space so comforting and such a fun, kid-like place to be, which is what we want them to have. In all of our facilities, we want every child to have the experience that every child should have. And in fact, we have our safe houses, and then we have the homes I showed you. The McCabe house, for example, is shared by a couple of families. And when I first started, the kids would have a birthday and nobody did anything for their birthday, which to me was completely tragic. So what we did was we established birthday closets. So each of our safe houses and each of our shared homes have a closet that's filled with toys and gifts, so that when a child has a birthday at one of those facilities, a big party is thrown and the kids all go shopping for the birthday child, and they throw a big party, and the child feels that a child is supposed to feel on their birthday very, very special. So it's these special touches that our team does that is amazing to me. The children's team will take the families on field trips. They're going to the circus. They do, during the summer, they do big picnics with them. They just go above and beyond to make sure our children are not just healing from the trauma, but having enriched lives and experiencing things that they never would have been able to experience if they had not come to Wings. So we're very proud of our Children's Services program, Family and Children's Services program. It is comprehensive. It is one of a kind, and dedicated people, and you see the results. So some of our graduates, one of our most famous graduates, Sarah McClary, who came into the Safe House with her boys who are 1 and 2, has served on our board. She does so much to give back. In fact, she has a project called Operation Shelter Cupid. In a few weeks, we will be delivering roses to men and women living in several domestic violence safe homes throughout the suburbs and city of Chicago, and that's her way of giving back. Those boys that she came in with 20 years ago at 1 and 2 are now very tall, well-adjusted young men, happy, healthy, in good relationships. And that's how we know what we're doing works, because we can see it in real life that we're breaking the cycle. And we appreciate you being here along for the journey. And again, if you have anything that you want to comment on, or you see, like what you see, throw it in the chat. We are very proud of what we do. We are taking donations for Operation Shelter Cupid, so if you want to buy some roses from somebody, it's just $20. You can go to our website and do that. So we will move on, and again, thank you for watching. Another long hallway past the flower room, which is a cute room too. Past the intake line. And we were going to meet Daniel here. He should be here any minute. So, we were very thankful again, as I said, to the Foglia family and to Congressman Rasha Krishnamurthy. Our mayor came to join us, and so we were very happy to have her. And we are going to talk about our hospital program in just a minute. So this is our waiting space, and we have with us a special guest today, Daniel.
Hi Rebecca, how are you?
I'm good, how are you? Thank you for being here to talk to us about the hospital program. So Daniel is new. Close together. Nancy, our camerawoman, said move closer together. So we love it. We don't mind. So I mentioned our hospital program, and about 20 years ago, Diane and David Hill, after we had completed the Safe House, this is about 2006, made us $1 million contribution to Wings. And they asked John and Rita to reciprocate with the hospital. And they all agreed that one thing they wanted was for, at the local hospital, Northwest Community Hospital, that the funds would go to help Wings clients, our survivors. So we established an office at the hospital, and we established a relationship with the hospital staff, a task force with members from all over the hospital, to teach them how to identify if they have a patient that has come into the hospital who is experiencing domestic violence in the home. And we started training their staff, and then if someone answered, yes, I am being hurt at home, our staff are called immediately to do what's called a bedside assessment, and they will check for how dangerous the person's situation is, help them to safety plan, and then develop next steps. That has been in existence and has continued to grow into the northwest suburbs. Daniel joined our hospital team just in time for us to expand it. So Daniel, why don't you tell about that?
Absolutely. So yes, started back in the September time frame and jumped right on board in our hospitals at Northwest Community Hospital, St. Alexis, and then Lexington Brothers. And then working with April, Director of Community-Based Services, and Latanya, Chief Program Officer, was told that, hey, we might be expanding to the city of Chicago and stuff. Can't highlight the fact enough that in the suburbs, meanwhile, that our advocates, Shelby and Yvonne, and our counselor, Rosangela, are doing a great job working with our clients, and specifically working with our clients that have traumatic brain injury that is supported by the Michael Reese Foundation in this city. And the fact of the matter is when we do go to our bedsides, talk to our potential clients, patients, that it's alarming that about 80% of individuals are being hit or struck in the head or neck region, and really it's good work we're doing in the hospital and stuff, but it's also work that needs to be done. So recently expanded to the city of Chicago as a result of the city of Chicago using their social determinants of health, indicating that, hey, we need to do something about domestic violence within the city. So we decided to partner with the different hospitals in the cities, primarily focused within the city limits of Chicago, primarily focused on 16 specific zip codes where the city is seeing high prevalence of domestic violence rates. And we partnered here at UIC, our partner agencies, CAWC, Family Rescue, and Neapolitan Lighthouse are also partnering with different hospitals within the city as kind of a beacon for individuals that are experiencing violence in the home to reach out to individuals in our organization in the hospital program and begin providing the services that we can align them with as they relate to domestic violence, whether that be shelter, whether that be pantry, mentorship, counseling, case management, a number of different items and stuff. But it is really nice to be in the hospital, being able to provide that immediate emotional support when we get a call from a social worker or a case manager, and just begin letting the patient, potential client, tell their story as it pertains to domestic violence in their life. Immediately begin safety planning with the client and overall giving them resources that they need in their journey to survivor and hopefully one day victor. So I put together this basket over here. We get several wonderful donations to bring to our bedside to our clients that are sometimes homeless and they don't have anywhere else to go, so they would go into the ED and be like, I've experienced this, I need some support and help. We get a referral from the hospital and their different systems, or case manager, social worker. We go there, we bring them a basket of goodies that have been donated, whether that be a mother that just given birth with a onesie for her child, diapers, formula, and then these wonderful onesies that were donated from Petite Bloom that Judy from Pantry and I worked with, getting that to our different hospitals and stuff. And I don't know if Rebecca mentioned, but I think she should be here for this if she didn't. Literally 20-25 minutes ago, Lila from UIC, social worker, called me, Daniel, Manager Hospital Services, who filters the call, and we are currently performing our first bedside at the University of Illinois Chicago in the city. Joanna is there being a trailblazer with the patient, just to provide a little bit of narrative of the work that we've been doing, that we've been seeing. Mother had a miscarriage two days ago, experiencing physical and emotional abuse in the home for an extended period of time. Has a 3-year-old that she has full custody over. And then we have Joanna there providing that emotional support and beginning the safety planning and starting her journey to survivor and hopefully one day victor and stuff. So I'm really happy I was able to talk about this. I don't know if Rebecca, if you have any additional questions or...
Well, I just think it's for the audience to know, these things that we're doing at Wings and all the growth and expansion of the housing, expansion of Spiral Lifeline, expansion of the hospital program doesn't just happen. It takes dedicated people like Daniel and his team, April, who's overseeing this hospital program for years. We have staff who've been with us, who moved up the ranks to the director level, who've been here average tenure of 15 years. And those people, it just shows you the level of dedication, because in the nonprofit space, pay is not what brings you here. It is passion for the cause, for the people, for the adults, for the children. And what I was excited about the city program is how it came to be. And I don't even know if Daniel knows this story. My husband's heard it a million times, so I apologize to you, Joe. It's not taxpayer money, which means it's safe in terms of, it's $1 million grant that Wings was just awarded last fall. What was rewarding for me personally is I worked on getting this money with Ron Emanuel after we had opened the safe house. I was at a party with him. He had invited me to a pride party, and he had just passed an ordinance to have a 3% surcharge on Airbnbs and other home shares to go to the homeless agencies to help homeless people. And so I prodded him and said, well, why would you do the same thing for domestic violence? And I said, you could at least do 2%. And he did. So he went back and added that, and then COVID hit. And so it kind of sat dormant, it didn't really go anywhere until after COVID. I was appointed to Mayor Lightfoot's gender-based violence task force, and our committee, lo and behold, was tasked with how were they going to spend this money. And we talked about the different ways that survivors end up in our care. And one main way is the hospitals. So none of the Stroger had, CAWC has been doing this work at Stroger Hospital in Cook County, but the other hospitals we just couldn't break into. And we had an opportunity with a friend of Wings who introduced me to the leadership at the Dean of College of Medicine at UIC, and we told him what we were doing out here in the suburbs, and he immediately said, we have to have that at UIC. So when we went to write the application for the $1 million grant, we already had a letter of support, and we're ready to go, hit the ground running from UIC, and we have strong partners who can go into University of Chicago Hospital, to Rush Hospital, and to some other neighborhoods with federally qualified health centers, and Daniel's leading the charge on that. So, you have a right to be proud for the work in just a short time. I mean, this is a person who hit the ground running.
No. I mean, Rebecca has been doing work for a very long time, steering the ship to make sure that this happens. I'm happy to be the catalyst now, but the people before me, Rebecca, April, Latanya, they're the ones that did all the legwork. Tisha with the grant and all that. So I'm happy to be doing the work and stuff, but I can't take that much credit for it.
Well, you can take credit. I give it to you. And the other thing what was I going to say? There was something I was going to say. It will come to me. But we're really pleased with the work that we're doing, and we know that we can just continue to expand our reach and impact more and more people. I remember now. The other thing that Daniel's doing as part of the grant we got from Michael Reese Health Trust is creating a toolkit that we can allow other agencies across the country to have access to lessons learned from the traumatic brain injury pilot that they've been overseeing at Northwest Community, is to create a toolkit that will be online, and other agencies can download it, and they can get funding and implement the same traumatic brain injury program with their local hospitals. We're pretty sure we're the first in the country to be doing this type of collaborative, a DB agency with a hospital with the intent of helping survivors who are suffering from traumatic brain injury. And Daniel mentioned it earlier, what we are finding, and when we're asking the question of people coming into shelter, is that 80% of them have experienced strangulation, and that is a big cause of traumatic brain injury. And not being able to have the access to the scans and the subsequent treatment that this funding source provides to us, they go undiagnosed, and that has many implications for being able to hold a job, for being able to care for your children. And so we're pleased that we were chosen to be at the front of such an innovative program, something that we can share with agencies and hospitals across the country. And Daniel's leading the charge with his team, and so we're really pleased with the work that we're doing, and just really happy that we can share our lessons learned with other organizations across the country. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you, Rebecca. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the tour.
All right, we shall keep going. So over here, we have several counseling rooms for our adults. So the space you just saw was specifically for our children, littles all the way up to the teens, as I said, and I echo them well. So we have office space here. We have our large adult group room. So we have one night a week where they have support groups for survivors to come and talk to one another and support one another. The children are cared for by volunteers while the adults are in here. We feed them, we give them dinner on that night, and it's just affirming for these families to know that we're here for them, that we can take care of them, that we can help them get out of their situation and onto a better life. We have so many tools in the toolkit to be able to do that. The resources that the community provides to us. We also use our resale stores to help our families. Many times, the people who come into our safe houses are walking in with nothing but the clothes on their backs. We are able to access all the clothes that they need through our resale stores. So those of you who donate to resale, thank you. The clients do get first dib at those clothes and clothes for their children. And it's very sweet to watch when the Safe House staff make that phone call to one of the stores to say, I've got a mom with 3 kids and these are their sizes and this is what they need. And the volunteers and staff at those stores will quickly mobilize and get together everything that they need and get it over to the Safe House for that family. It's the kind of interdependence that you don't see in very many organizations, but the teams here at Wings all work very closely together to support each other. So the program team is giving the development team and the grant writers great outcomes, great data that we can talk to the media and talk to you all about the great work that we're doing. The success rates are off the charts. We have our transitional housing program that boasts 98 to 100% success rate. That when someone graduates from that program, they have the financial means to move forward. They have their emotional footing underneath them, and they don't have a reason to go back. So 100% don't go back to the abuser they left, and they move forward to healthy relationships. And that is what we're extremely proud of, because that means the children are not going back into that situation. So providing a lot of long-term support, long-term solutions, and being able to continue to expand our footprint, which is what we are currently doing. We are starting with Miami, Florida. We have created a leadership council there. If any of our viewers are there and you want to get involved in Florida, we will be expanding there with our Survivor Lifeline and eventually our hospital program. And then we'll be moving to other parts of Florida as well, and then other parts of the country. So again, very pleased. We have a strong board of directors. I can't thank them enough for their service. We have leadership councils located all over Chicago in different areas of Chicago who are our ambassadors for the work that we do. And it's just, as the leader of this organization, I say it's the best job anybody can have, because I get to see the resources and the money that our donors give invested directly into adults and children who desperately need it, certainly deserve it, and we are able to celebrate them at our graduation ceremony, Celebration of Courage. And what the kids will say at the end of that 2-year journey, and at their mom or dad's graduation, that their mom, their parent that got them out of that situation is their hero. And so there's no greater honor for a parent who's transcended the situation and helped their children to get out. So we're very pleased with the work that we do. Very pleased that you could join us today. And again, if you have any comments you want to talk about in the chat, please do so. Thank you for being here today. Have a great rest of your day. Keep supporting the work that we do, and our staff will keep doing it and keep helping to save lives every single day. Thank you.